Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Dr. Digital, and today we're going to be talking about how to actually go about unlocking the tech tier. Now, there is a lot of players, surprisingly, that play this game who have never had access to the tech tier. Now, there's a multitude of reasons for this. This could be because maybe they're playing on PvP, where, caves are usually really contested, or, they're just getting constantly raided. But on the PvE game mode, there's honestly some really simple ways to unlock the tech tier. Now, I'm going to explain one quite briefly here before I go in depth into the video. But essentially, there's two recommended methods. There is a shotgun and Procoptodon method with multiple tribe members, or there is the solo or in a tribe method. That is basically you just go on day one, maybe your first couple of days, depending on how quickly you want to progress. But you just go tame a bunch of megatheriums, maybe get a decent saddle, and go straight into the fight. And that's the method I'm going to be covering, but essentially I'll just kind of break down the first one really quick. So essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have 1 to 2 tribe mates, as a minimum. Now, one person can work on farming gunpowder and metal, as the other person is going to be probably focusing on taming Procoptodons and looting caves to try and get at least 200% shotgun. That's my kind of lowest recommendation. You can do it with lower if you're pretty quick with it and you're making sure you do everything correctly. But again, I want to make sure that this is as informal as a guide as possible, and this will be able to be done by most players. That's why I'm not really covering the first method, super in depth, just because it's a method that some people might be able to do, some people might not be able to do due to multitude of things. Maybe you're not lucky, maybe you skill issue, There's a ton of reasons the first method can go wrong, so we're gonna go with the tried and true method right here, which is I'm gonna basically tell you what to do from when you spawn into the game all the way up into the boss. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna search up an Explore Note guide. If you guys would like me to upload one, I can. Just let me know down below in the comments. But it's honestly relatively simple. And so you're just gonna go around the map. You're gonna get this until you're around level 80. You wanna basically get to around level 80 and then start doing everything else. This way you're getting more XP as you're passively doing the rest of the things on this list. But start with Explore Notes, and then we can move on to the next thing. The next thing is to make a base. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge base, it doesn't have to be super functional, but you need to have at least some sort of functionality and some things set up in order to make bullets and then tranquilizer darts. You're going to need tranquilizer darts and a long neck, and then after you're done that, you're just going to head into the redwoods and you're going to tame some megatheriums. Now, megatheriums can be tamed with prime meat, mutton, or honey. Honey is honestly the best thing to get. Now, if you're not super confident or comfortable in gathering honey without a dire bear, you can go ahead and gather or tame a dire bear to just make the process of gathering honey way easier. But you don't really necessarily need to do that. So you can just kill a couple paracers, sorry, or stegos, or anything that just generally will drop a good amount of prime meat, diplos, brontos if you can. Essentially, you're going to want to kill anything that drops prime, then head into the redwoods and tame yourself a megatherium. Oh, look at that, baby paracer. Alright. And now that you have gotten yourself, I'd suggest at least a minimum of 5, but I would suggest you probably go 6 to 8 megatheriums. Make sure they're all relatively high level, level 200 plus after tame. And make sure, this is incredibly important, make sure you have at least one male or one female, depending on what the majority of them are. Just make sure they are mate boosted. This is because the mate boost gives them extra damage, and it makes it so they are a lot more tankier. So you can go ahead and do it with primitive saddles, depending on the stats of your megatheriums. But I would highly suggest trying to loot some purple, yellow, red drops, and do as many caves as you can to try and actually get a better megatherium saddle blueprint, or just a couple good megatherium saddles. Now, that's it, really. You're gonna just do some caves with on foot, because the cave to, honestly, any of the caves to get the broodmother to spawn are relatively simple. Like I said earlier, you need to get the level 80, and one of the main reasons is right here, as you can see. If you want to go for alpha, you do need to be at least level 70. Now, I would suggest doing a sort of test run, so I would always start with the Gamma Broodmother just to see how your megatheriums do. If they do really well, you can move up to the beta tier, and if they do well on that, then you can move up to the alpha tier. And now the reason I would suggest actually doing these in order is because obviously you start with alpha and it turns out your saddles or the stats you have on your megatheriums wasn't that great, then unfortunately you just lost a ton of progression. You're gonna have to do everything all over again. And that's it, really. I'm gonna give you some little side tips here. If you tame a Uteranus and a Daedon, it'll make the boss fight infinitely easier, and it is highly recommended because, again, you could easily go tame a Ute while you're taming a bunch of megatheriums. Somebody else could go tame a Ute while you're in the process of doing this. Again, if you're solo, you're gonna have to do them one at a time, which is gonna make this take a little bit longer. So maybe not day one. If you're a solo player, it might take you, a week or so, but a week into tech tier is honestly a pretty big accomplishment for most players. And that about wraps it up. That's how you just get right into the game, get your tech tier, get some cool boss trophies, and Broodmother doesn't unlock the most, but it can get you, like I said again, started, right? As long as you start getting your tech built up, your element built up, then you'll be in a really good spot. And for any of the other bosses, I actually have another video, which I will put down in the, I'll pin it in the comments actually, of the top 10 most useful creatures on the island. Some of them are boss fighting creatures there. So if you want to go ahead after this and try and immediately get into the next bosses to unlock more of the tech tier, you guys could check that video down below. But yeah, like I said, that about wraps it up. If you guys have any questions, if you want me to elaborate a bit more and make a more in-depth video showing out each individual process, I could definitely do that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.